Hi, I'm Mia.
G'day, Charlie here.
Hello, I'm Kim. This is Spot and Ronnie.
And I'm Ali. And we're Planet Protectors.
Today, we're going to learn about what happens to the rubbish, recycling and green waste from your home.
It's very important for all our futures. So, hope you enjoy and see you soon. Hi, and welcome to the most important part about making waste work. That's why they got me to do it. It's important. Everyone has different bins for different things. This means the right rubbish needs to go in the right bin. First of all, there's the rubbish bin where all your household waste goes. This bin is for food scraps, anything greasy or dirty like plastic wrapping, pizza boxes, yucky tissues and stuff like that. Sorry about that. Most of the other rubbish isn't really rubbish at all. Things like plastic containers, cans and tins, newspaper, paper and cardboard, and all your glass jars and bottles. This stuff should all be recycled, so they can be made into new things to be used again and again. And remember, no plastic bags or rubbish in the recycling bin. In the garden, all the grass from the mower and the leaves can be kept at home and made into compost. If you don't have a compost heap, you can put them in your green waste bin for collection. All this garden stuff can then be turned into compost and mulch. And there are some things that should never be put in the rubbish bin or the recycling bin because they can be dangerous to people and the environment. Things like car batteries, gas bottles, paint, and engine oil can all be taken to a resource recovery centre where they can be disposed of safely. These places also take big things like old fridges, big cardboard boxes, and even old kitchen sinks for recycling. So don't forget, by doing it right at home and sorting the rubbish into the right bin, you'll be protecting our planet and making waste work.
Sydney's a big place, a place with lots of people. Over 4 million of them, as a matter of fact. And they all have one thing in common. They all create rubbish, and lots of it. Each day, thousands of tons of rubbish, what we call waste, is collected from homes across Sydney. But where does it go? Most of the waste finds its way to a landfill. The trucks arrive at the site, get weighed, and deliver their waste to the landfill. The waste is then squashed by a huge compacting bulldozer that drives over and over and over the waste, making it smaller and smaller. I think that's really amazing. Each day, the waste is covered over with soil. And do you know why they do that? I know, to help keep out the pooey smell. And it also keeps out animals that may want to get a free feed. Over time, the compacted waste breaks down and a gas called methane is formed. All of the WSN landfills have high-quality gas collection systems that capture the methane and transport it to an on-site power plant where it is used to generate green electricity. Across all the WSN Environmental Solutions landfill sites, enough green energy is produced to power up to 30,000 homes. A pretty good result from something that was just thrown away. These landfill sites are all carefully designed and planned to minimize the amount of space used by the landfill. As part of the planning for the future, these landfill sites also become useful even after they are filled. They are covered over and planted with grasses, plants and trees, and lots of compost and mulch so that it will look good and natural in the future. This land is then given back to the community so it can be used for sporting facilities, rollerblading, or parklands so the people have a place to have some fun. So it's not only protecting the planet, but also helping people enjoy the great outdoors. Bye!
So you've helped in the garden and the place is looking good. But what happens to all the lawn clippings, leaves and cuttings? There are a few different things you can do. One is that you can compost or worm farm the green waste at home and use it on your own garden. A cool idea. Or you can put it in the green waste bin for collection. Either way, it's going to do some good. Green waste includes lawn clippings, tree and shrub prunings, dead flowers, weeds, old plants, leaves and small branches. Like our rubbish and recycling, the green waste is picked up by a garbage truck that just collects green waste. It shouldn't contain plastic bags, food scraps, plastics or rubbish of any kind. Once the garbage truck has picked up the green waste, it goes to a composting facility, and it's a pretty big one. Anything that shouldn't be there is removed manually, but it would be better if it wasn't there in the first place. Remember, only stuff from the garden, all right? The green waste is then put into a huge machine called a tub grinder. Check it out. It's an awesome machine. Anyway, it shreds and chops and pulverizes and destroys and absolutely obliterates all the green waste and then turns it into mulch. Now it's all been ground up. It's moved into really big piles called windrows. These are about 15 to 20 metres high, and as you can see, there's lots of them. The windrows are kept watered and turned over again and again for about 4 months. This turning lets the air in. There's millions of tiny bugs that love the fresh air, and they help to break down the material. This process also creates lots of heat, up to 80 degrees Celsius, which is pretty hot, and must keep those bugs nice and warm.
That's cool.
As the mulch starts to break down, it's moved to the next stage and goes through at least 5 different levels of decomposition, becoming more refined at each stage. Once the green waste has broken down, it goes through some huge machines called trommels. These trommels are even bigger than the tub grinder and sort all the materials by size to make different grades of compost and mulch.
Didn't know that.
The compost and mulch are now ready for use in landscaping and fixing up land that hasn't been taken care of. Using them helps reduce evaporation of water into the air, keeps the soil nice and cool, and gives lots of nutrients to the soil. It also makes a good home for worms and bugs. Using the compost on revegetated sites makes a big difference and helps bring them back to life much sooner. So remember, what was once waste at your place is now being used to bring life to parks and playgrounds for other kids to enjoy and helping to protect the planet.
Okay, Okay, you put out the recycling bin. You know, the one that contains all the cans, plastic, containers, glass, paper and cardboard, all the stuff that you can recycle. So, what happens to it now? Well, once the recyclables are collected, they're taken to a place called a MRF. Oh, we call them materials recycling facilities, but you can call them MRF for short. These places are huge and collect recyclables from all over Sydney. But before we go any further, these places only collect recyclables. You got it? You got it? So if your recycling bin contains any rubbish or green waste, the material is contaminated. Ooh, what a waste. So make sure your recycling bin only contains, wait for it, paper, cardboard, glass, plastic containers and cans. No rubbish. Okay, now we've got that one sorted, we'll do some more sorting. Recyclable sorting, that is. First of all, everything is pushed into a big conveyor belt that takes them to the first sorting stage. Here, big pieces of cardboard and anything that shouldn't be here, like plastic bags, car batteries and disposable nappies, yuck, they're removed manually. Lots of other machines separate the items onto different conveyor belts. Steel cans are sorted by using magnets, while aluminium cans are sorted by eddies. They're electrical currents that create a magnetic effect on the aluminium can. Wow. Well, the glass is sorted by colour, you know, like brown, green or clear. While paper can be sorted by air currents that blow the lighter materials away from the heavier materials. It must be like a giant blow dryer or something like that. Well, the machines can't sort everything that comes in, so there's still a lot of sorting to be done by hand. These teams work really hard at sorting the right materials into the right bin. At this MRF, or MRF for short, as I said earlier, there are over 100 conveyor belts moving all the recyclables from place to place. If you joined all the conveyor belts together, that'd stretch over 1.5 km.
Awesome!
Once the items are sorted and placed into their own containers, they're all like crunched together to form bales, ready for the next part of the journey to the processing plant. Every week, over 750 tonnes of materials come through here, and this includes over 400 tonnes of recycled newspapers. That's a lot of people reading a lot of newspapers. Depending on what it is, these recyclables can be turned into stuff like car parts, new bottles, steel containers, or even newspapers, all ready for us to use. The more materials we recycle, the less natural resources we need to use. And remember, rubbish in the rubbish bin and all the recyclables in the recycling bin. So, close the loop and help protect our planet. I am. Hi, I am Kim. Welcome to our street. And my dog Spot isn't very happy. It's garbage day today, and he always thinks he can take on the trucks. I think they're a bit big for him, but Spot thinks he's as big as his bark, and twice the size that he really is. You know, every day around Sydney, hundreds of trucks like this one collect the garbage. And all this rubbish needs to go somewhere, doesn't it, Ali? He's my next door neighbour.
Yep. And my friends Charlie and Mia know exactly where that is.
Let's go! Thanks, Kim. At Eastern Creek in Sydney's west, the waste that comes here gets the best treatment in town, with lots of benefits for the environment. Oh, and us. Oh, isn't that right, Charlie?
Yep, that's right. Today, Mia and I are going to show you something big, really big. We're going to show you how all this waste can become useful again,
and again.
The UR-3R waste treatment facility at Eastern Creek is huge and very, very busy, 7 days a week. And its job is to turn this waste into materials we can use, yeah?
The process used here is designed to recover up to 23,000 tonnes of plastic, glass, paper and metal recyclables each year and produce up to 23,500 tonnes of compost. That's a lot of waste going back to work. There are 8 parts to this process, from delivery of the waste to sorting it, separating it by size and type, collecting the recyclables, percolation, and that's not like a coffee, digestion, then making the compost, and even the production of electricity. Well, let's see how it all starts. Go for it, Charlie.
Okay, first up we have the delivery area, where all the garbage trucks come into the facility and tip their waste onto the delivery floor. Not a pretty sight, but you get the idea of how much waste there is and the amount of rubbish people throw out. This waste comes in all together, everything that's in the garbage bin, but there's lots of stuff that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, look at that.
All the cans, glass and paper should be in the recycling bins. If everyone put the right thing in the right bin, there'd be a lot less rubbish here, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, once the waste is delivered, it's then put onto a conveyor belt to start its journey. To be turned back into lots of things we can use.
Yay!
The big bulky items are manually removed at the first sorting stage. This includes lots of stuff that shouldn't be in the rubbish, like car batteries, gas cylinders, and household chemicals, as they can be very dangerous to the people who work here and to the equipment.
Oh, why do people do it?
I don't know, they just don't think. The rest of the waste goes into what we call the splitter. It's a big, huge, sharp, scary machine and has big metal arms with blades for hands. Cool. The splitter cuts the plastic bags up to release the waste onto the next conveyor belt, where it heads off for the next stage. Over to you, Mia.
Okay, so all the waste now goes into a big rotating machine called a trommel. This machine is like a big sieve, really, that helps separate the food and garden waste from the recyclables. The trommel has different sized holes on the side. As it rotates, the items drop out and separate onto the different conveyor belts. That is so amazing. This includes plastic bags, paper, steel and aluminium cans and garden waste.
Gee, that's clever.
The steel cans get sorted by magnets and the aluminium cans get sorted by electrical currents, what we call eddies. The plastic bags meet the wind sifter, which works like a big wind tunnel and blows the plastic film and bags into a collection bin away from the heavier stuff.
Oh, full of hot air, just
Yeah.
like you, Mia.
Oh, come on now. I thought you were trying to be nice. Right, here we go. The rest of the waste goes through a manual sorting area where the paper and plastics are removed. Once these materials are all recovered from the waste, they're all baled into their own groups, ready to be sent away to be reused again in the making of newspapers, aluminium and steel cans and plastic containers. Well, what's left behind is mostly the food and garden waste. These are called organics. This is the stuff that can be turned into compost. Now, speaking of compost, your turn, Charlie.
Oh, thanks a lot, Mia. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Here, the organics are sent to some huge tanks called percolators to start the composting process. The percolators are where the organics are washed with warm, recycled water and made ready to be turned into compost.
Sounds like a bit of a bath.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't know about that.
Oh, quiet.
The percolator also gets rid of those nasty little germs in the organic waste. Whew. After a couple of days of rolling around in the percolators, the waste is moved from the percolator to the final composting process. And this is where the bugs come in. Trillions of them. You see, Mia really likes bugs.
Yeah, right. Like, I do not like bugs. But the ones here at the UR-3R facility are good ones. And hungry. And they're all in the huge compost hole.
Go bugs!
The bugs take turns to munch on our food and garden waste for 4 weeks until it's compost ready. This compost is turned and watered, all the time making for a very hot and humid place. And the bugs love it.
Oh, compost! Yum!
From here, the compost is moved outside for 8 weeks, where another type of bug that loves the dry, airy conditions takes over. By the time all these bugs have eaten their fill over a 3-month period, the compost is ready to be used. Simple, really. Okay, now it's your turn, Charlie.
Thanks, Mia. Back at the percolators, the liquid created by the percolation process is also recovered and sent to some very large tanks. These tanks are called digesters, and they also contain microscopic bugs that feed on the liquid and produce a gas called biogas.
Gee, didn't know that.
The biogas is used to generate electrical power. It's used at the Eastern Creek facility to run the machinery, which is very clever. With the extra power exported to the grid as green energy that can be used by homes and businesses. Just another way of making waste work.
That's awesome! You know, by using these different resources, the Eastern Creek facility is a pretty smart place. It's completely self-sufficient in water and designed to generate enough renewable energy to power around 2,000 homes every year. From garbage to recycling to making electricity and compost, the UR-3R facility is an amazing place. And all this work, technology, and bugs is helping to protect our planet because
The Eastern Creek UR-3R is making waste work!